Okay. So I took some time away as Christmas break, as New Year's Eve break. Merry Christmas to everybody. Happy holidays to everybody. Happy New Year. Um, I took some time away, mainly because of the vacation and stuff that I took. Um, Mainly because I needed to, as a fan, I needed to gather myself and see, you know, because I back up what I said. I said if Kansas City went and lost to Seattle, they don't deserve to be in the playoffs, and I still stand by that. Even what they did today, I still stand by that. I still think that and until they prove me wrong, they're just going to go and lose to the first team they play. Um, I obviously have hope in my team. I have confidence. The two teams that we could possibly play, we've beat. The Colts we haven't really seen, but they're beatable. It was a crazy last week. It was a crazy 2 weeks. Um, Kansas City went and lost to Seattle 38-31. Kansas City played like absolute dog shit. Turned the ball over all the time. Couldn't get anything generated. I'm starting to see some shit play calling that I seen last year. Some really predictable bullshit. We was in Seattle. It was a 3rd and 1, and we they line up in an I formation and they run a 36 ISO. Everybody and their mom expects you to do that. We are not the 1960 Kansas City Chiefs. We do not run that anymore. Where's the creative shit? We needed that 3rd down and 1. Chris Conley fumbled the ball. He was carrying it like a loaf of bread. Damian Williams fumbled the ball, but he was just trying to make something happen. The last drive that Seattle had, look, man, the two catches that Lockett made and Baldwin made, and that were astronomical. They were great. Defense couldn't stop a nosebleed. They couldn't stop the run, couldn't stop the pass. I mean, they couldn't stop anything. A lot of people were putting the game on Kelvin Benjamin because he dropped a pass in the back of the end zone. That ball was deflected. That ball was deflected. I watched the game. I watched it. There was a ton of people on Chiefs King, or no, it's Patrick Mahomes fan page that kept butting up against me on that on Facebook. It didn't hit him in the chest. It was deflected. It was deflected, and it hit his arm and went back into the field of play. It was deflected. It didn't hit him in the chest. I watched it. I seen it with my own 2 eyes. I was pissed off at first, but then when I seen what happened, it was understandable. So Kansas City went to Seattle and straight up beat themselves, in my opinion. They played like shit. It seems like when they play like ass, they lose by 3 to 7 points. Was that our biggest loss all season? Yeah, that was our biggest loss all season, was in Seattle by 7 points. So, anyways, that's a gist on that. Went down to Seattle, played like shit, got beat. Seattle's a decent football team. What can you say? They went down and played like garbage, and they deserved to lose that game. As I said, until Kansas City wins this divisional game, I'll root for them. I'll keep them in the back of my mind, but I'm not going to expect them to win. It's been 20 years, and it's been 20 years since we won an Arrowhead. The past 5 years, 3 of those first seeds have went to the Super Bowl. Or all 5 of those seeds have went to the Super Bowl, and 3 of them won it. 3 of which, 1 being Peyton Manning, 2 being Tom Brady. Tom Brady and Peyton Manning were the only 2 out of those 5. They were the 2 that did it. Until Kansas City wins a divisional game, I'm going to be skeptical. I don't know what to expect. Oakland was playing pretty decent, and they came in today, and we just destroyed their ass. 35-3. Should have been 42. We had a pick that went down to like the 4-yard line, got a holding call, got it back up to the 1-yard line, ran it on a 4th and 1, lined up in the shotgun and ran it right up the middle on a 4th and 1. That play calling is just absolutely stupid. It's stupid. Quit doing the most predictable possible thing you could do. And I believe he ran it 2 or 3 times on that down there on the goal line. Damian Williams got an extension, so he's probably going to be our back next year. I think he's probably going to be starting instead of Spencer Ware. I don't see why they wouldn't. The kid's been running hard, and he's been ripping off a lot of yardage. A lot of things happened today. Cleveland had a chance to beat Baltimore and put Pittsburgh in the playoffs. That did not happen. Baker Mayfield got him down there and then tried to fit a ball over C.J. Mosley and threw a pick. The Steelers' season wasn't over though. The Colts and the Titans played tonight, and it was pretty close until Blaine Gabbert threw an interception when they were up by 7, or they were down by 7, and after that the wheels just fell off the wagon. I think the Colts are a decent team. The Colts got in by beating the Titans. If those two teams would have tied, Pittsburgh would have been in the playoffs, because neither one of the Titans or the Colts would have made the playoffs. So, let's see, what else? Oh, yeah, Chicago beat Minnesota, so that put Philadelphia in the playoffs. So what do we have? Well, New England has went to the Super Bowl 8 out of 12 times when they had a first or second seed bye week in the first round. The Colts are going to Houston, and the Colts beat Houston twice this year, both by 3 points. One was in overtime. I think this game's a little bit more important to them. And I think the Texans, I don't know, the Colts seem to have the Texans number, but it is extremely hard to beat a team 3 times in one season. So, I'm going to go ahead and take Houston. It's at Houston. I could see the Colts beating the Texans again, but it's going to be very difficult. The Chargers are going to Baltimore. We all know what happened last time. The Chargers went to Baltimore. I think Baltimore has the perfect chemistry to beat the Chargers. So this is what's going to happen. There's no possible way we can play the Texans. It's impossible. We're going to get the least. We're going to get the lowest seed, and the Patriots are going to get the highest seed. So what I think is going to happen here, Baltimore's going to knock off the Chargers again. I just don't see. I mean, they played pretty good today against Denver, but hell, Oakland beat the shit out of Denver. So I think the Ravens are going to go to New England, and if the Colts beat the Texans, they'll come to Kansas City. If the Texans win that game, the Ravens will come to Kansas City. So you can see how that's pretty interesting, you know. I don't know who I'd really want to play. I don't think I'd want to play the Ravens again. They're a tough football team. They play hard. They got a really good defense, and they have a pretty good chemistry, and they have a good chemistry to beat us. John Harbaugh is crazy good in the playoffs. John or Jim, whichever one it is, I always get them mixed up. He's always really good in the playoffs. The last time he went to the playoffs was 2012. He won the Super Bowl that year. So I would rather not play the Ravens again. I really wouldn't. They're a team that they're tough, man. They're tough. But I do think if they go to New England, I think they'll get beat. I think New England will make them one-dimensional and try to get them to run it all the time, and I think New England will handle their run game really well, and thus making him one-dimensional and making him pass the ball, which he's not fond of. If we got the Colts, it just depends. Is Kansas City's defense going to play like they did against Oakland today, where it's just complete shutdown and turnovers and all kinds of shit, or are they just going to let people walk all over them? Kansas City gave up a ton of yards today, but they showed the bend don't break defense. Give up a ton of yards, don't give them anything on the scoreboard, don't give them any points. Same thing, I just repeated myself. I don't know, because those shitty wild card teams always seem to knock us off. So I don't know. As I said before, until this team proves it to me, I can't pick them to be winners. I can't. Look at their past. They have to prove me wrong first. People give Kansas City a lot of shit. It'll end eventually. Eventually they will rise to the occasion and get a playoff win. And get a playoff win in Arrowhead. They got one against the Texans in 2013. Eventually they will get a win in Arrowhead. It's just like Oakland being total shitbags. They may be in a huge ass drought right now for like the past 20 years, but eventually it will go away. Eventually it will stop. Eventually they will be good again at some point. Patrick Mahomes ended the season with over 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns. He could have had 51 if Kelsey would have gotten the end zone, but he couldn't quite make the push. On the other side, on the NFC side, you got the Saints in the 1 seed, Rams in the 2nd seed. You got the Eagles going to Chicago. Well, I'm sorry, Philly, but especially with Nick Foles being out. Nick Foles is great in the playoffs. Don't get me wrong. Nick Foles is a boss in the playoffs. So if Nick Foles plays, I think they got a pretty good shot against the Bears. I'm going to be completely honest. I think they do. Nick Foles in the playoffs is astronomical compared to what he is in the regular season. So if they got Nick Foles, I think they can knock the Bears off. But Chicago is going to be a hard place to play. On the other side, you got Seattle going to Dallas. Dallas went to Seattle. We all know Seattle is a hard place to play earlier in the season when Dallas wasn't playing too good and they got smoked. I like the Seahawks, man. The Seahawks are a solid team this year. I think they're good. They beat us. They caused turnovers. Of course, that was in Seattle. They got to play on the road the entire fucking way, unless they get the Eagles. Excuse me on that. Sorry. Just my apologies. Slipped out. Sometimes things just slip away, and that's my apologies. That's not who I am. Anyways, unless the Eagles beat the Bears, the Seahawks will be on the road the entire way through the playoffs. The Eagles are the 6th seed, so if the Eagles won, the Eagles would have to go to Seattle if Seattle won too. But Seattle's got to play Dallas first. And I just think the Seahawks are a more rounded team. I think they got a better defense and offense overall. I think they'll beat Dallas again. I would like to see Kansas City win one. I really would. I think it would shut people up for a while. You're always going to have those people that, oh, well, they got lucky. They played the Colts, or they played the worst team in the wild card. It don't matter. Everybody's tough in the playoffs. Everybody's tough in the playoffs. It'll end eventually. I just don't know when. But I would really like Kansas City to just win a playoff game. At least make it to the AFC Championship. If they can do that, That's a logical progression, and I think Mahomes is taking us in the right direction. This defense has got to play like they did today. They have to. Against these better football teams, they have to play like that. I think the Raiders got most of their yardage in garbage time. They gave a lot of rushing yards to Doug Martin, but a lot of that was in garbage time. They still have a massive problem with getting off the field on third down. Like, if it's the first or second drive, they'll get them off the field like that, 3 and out. But anything after that, it's just like they can't do it. They'll put them in these long ass third downs, and they just can't get them off the field. They just can't do it. They just can't get them off the field. So that's where the defense needs to improve. Third downs. If they can get you're not going to stop them every single down. I get that. There's going to be third downs, but the Colts, Texans, Ravens, even the Chargers on most occasions, the Patriots, they get people off the field on third down. If anybody was wondering how the Patriots did today, the Patriots ended up beating the Jets at home 38-3. Smoked them. The Patriots are a whole different ball club at home. If the Patriots, they're beating whoever goes there. I mean, Houston has a good chance. If Houston can make it past the Colts, they got a really good chance to beat the Patriots. They only lost by 7 in the first meeting. It was at Foxborough. It was a low-scoring game, 27-20. But if we could force the Patriots to come to Arrowhead for the AFC Championship, it's a whole different ball game. Do I think Pat Mahomes is going to make the Super Bowl, in his first year as a starter? No. No, I don't. And why do I say this? And unless this defense shows me something or gives me a reason to believe that, why should I? If the Colts come to Arrowhead or the Ravens come to Arrowhead and we absolutely barrel roll them by 10, 17 points, oh yeah, I'll believe it. I'll sit back and I'll say, yeah, I think there's a chance that they could hold Tom Brady off enough at Arrowhead that we could win and go to the Super Bowl. It's a possibility. But if that defense shows up, the same one that did against the Ravens, granted they played when they needed to, but it took a holding call and for RG3 to come in for them to get stopped. The offense is just the offense is gonna do what the offense does. I think they're back on track now. They figured themselves out. Mahomes is throwing it downfield again. I'm gonna enjoy this next weekend watching these wild cards play, and then it's gonna come down to the divisional game. I'm not going to the divisional game this year. Like I said, I've spent enough time, I've spent enough years of my life, I've spent enough money on this team that I'm going to watch this divisional game at home. I was there the last 2 times. It would be great if I was there and they won. But until they show me something, I'm not going to spend my time and money to go back out there to watch them. If they win this divisional game, it's possible I might go to the AFC Championship to watch them play the Patriots. Because I'm a firm believer the Patriots are making it. People say, oh, the Patriots aren't what they used to be. Well, the Patriots have also been playing on the road a lot. You play them at home, they're a totally different animal. They are 8-0 at home this year. 8-0. They played the Chiefs, the Texans. They beat the Bears on the road by 7. Who else did they play at home? God, I can't remember because I don't pay attention to the Patriots But I don't think the Chargers are getting past the Ravens. The Ravens have the perfect chemistry to beat them. And they rolled them last time. And it's another do-or-die situation. I think the Ravens take it. And I think I guess if the Colts knock off the Texans, the Colts are coming to Arrowhead. If the Texans win, the Ravens are coming to Arrowhead. That's the way it's going to work. If the Chargers somehow come through and get a win, they'll be coming to Arrowhead. And that shit's personal. If the Chargers come to Arrowhead, that shit is personal. Andy Reid better break out all the damn stops for that game. Because that is a personal football game. You let them do that shit to you at home, you better not let them do that to you in the playoffs. Or you will have a slew of pissed off fans. When I was at the Tennessee game last year and they lost that game the way they did, there was fans breaking off seats and throwing them onto the field. That's how mad they were at that organization. Pat Mahomes has broke a lot of records this year. Just please, can we please end the curse? Can we please beat a team? Can we please go to the AFC Championship? That's at least a progression. I'm not asking you to win the Super Bowl. I'm not even asking you to go to the Super Bowl. If we at least win this divisional game, it's a logical progression. And then next year we can try to build off of that. Side notes. I think they should play Kelvin Benjamin more. They slid him in for a couple drives. He caught the passes that were thrown at him, and he did a decent job with it. They should play him more. He hasn't got injured like some of these other wide receivers. He's a big guy. He's 6'5", almost 6'6". He's big, he's physical, he has long arms and big hands. You put it near him, he'll catch it. You gotta believe in him. Put him in the game. Demarcus Robinson played really good today. Caught a deep ball. So, the road to the Super Bowl is running through Arrowhead this year. This is the first time it's happened since 2004. And the Colts came to Arrowhead in the divisional round. And the Colts were a road team, as ironic as this sounds. We have the best offense in the league. Trent Green, Priest Holmes, and Peyton Manning had the ball last, and he went down and scored, and we lost 38-31. As ironic as that story is compared to this one. The Colts and the Ravens are the two teams in the playoffs that are known for screwing us over. And I'm not talking about referee-wise. I'm talking about, it doesn't matter if they're a wild card or what they are. They've always been known to beat us. The Colts will blow their ass out in the regular season. We get to the playoffs. Andrew Luck mastered that huge-ass comeback to beat us that year. The Ravens came in 2006 and killed us at Arrowhead. It just... it may have been 2010. I think it was 2010, yeah. Eric Berry's rookie year or something like that. Eric Berry didn't play again. He was out. Who the hell knows what his problem is, but the defense played like they didn't need him, so. That's my opinion. They have to play in the playoffs like they did today to win. If they can do that, if their defense can play like they did today, I get it. The Raiders were a 3-10 team, or 3-12 team, but they were playing decent, or 4-12, whatever the hell they were. I don't know what they are. If the defense just plays decent and the offense stays on top of their game, I don't see why they couldn't run the table. I really don't. So I'll get back with you guys next weekend, and we'll see who we're going to play.